All right, have and have not fans. Now, this is a video, and I've done a ton of videos about Amanda Cryer in the past in regards to, was it a suicide? Was it a homicide? If it was a homicide, who was the murderer? Was it Celine? Was it Carlos? Professor Cannon? Quincy? And the list goes on. I've done so many videos in the past, but it looks like in next week's episode, we're finally going to have Catherine face to face with the new DA George. Well, I mean, we've seen those two together before in Catherine's house with Jim, where he revealed that he has all those embarrassing photos of Jim Cryer in the war room, which he found at Candace's house. But the more important thing about this video is it looks like the new DA goes over to talk to Catherine about Jennifer Salison, and there was something mentioned in the preview that caught a lot of people's attention. It was noted that they discovered that the bullets used to kill Jennifer Salison and Amanda Cryer were the same, and the DA says that the gun used to kill Jennifer was the same one that killed Amanda. Now, this is a scary thought because of a few reasons. Now, the one thing I've always pointed out, and this is something I talked about back when I was blogging, when Jennifer and the police were there investigating the crime scene and everything in Amanda's room, it was never seen or mentioned that the gun was taken in for, like, fingerprints and whatnot. They called it as a suicide, but then seasons later, we know that Jennifer was talking to David saying that she didn't think it was a suicide based off blood splatter and whatnot. And she was still investigating the case, but then she was killed, so we never got a conclusion. So that was one thing that puzzled me about Amanda's death, the way the blood was, the way that she was positioned in the bed. There was not a gun seen anywhere. Nowhere in that room was there a gun. All we saw was, Hannah opening the shades and finding Amanda's dead body. And then she got covered in blood because, unbeknownst to her, she was standing in a pool of it on the carpet. She put her hand on the dresser near her bed and then got blood on her. So let's kind of like break down the facts here. Let's just talk about what we know, because I'm going to, let's just pretend I'm a private investigator right now. Let me get my computer charged real quick. All right, now let's think. Let's kind of like work backwards on this. What do we know about the gun that Catherine used to kill Jennifer? All we know for a fact is that this gun was kept in like a locked safe that she knew the combination to, and she pulled the gun out before Jennifer came over to the house because she knew at some point she was going to pull it out and kill Jennifer if the opportunity arose, and it was necessary. Remember, this was after she found out about Wyatt being raped in jail thanks to Veronica, and I think she got the gun out of the safe after she calmly called Veronica to set up the meeting with Jennifer at her house. So she went in there with the intent to kill if necessary because she was trying to save her only living child. Now, correct, and again, I'm just speaking out loud, and let me know in the comments if I'm right or wrong on this or if I missed something. I don't believe it was ever mentioned that that gun was the same one that Amanda had. We do know that back in season 2, after Jim moved Amanda out of Candace's apartment back into their house, instead of having her institutionalized as Catherine wanted, Jeffrey visited her and told, Catherine about the fact that I went to see Candace and I found Amanda and she has a gun. And then Catherine was freaking out. I was like, she has mental issues. Why? How could she buy a gun? And Jeffrey made it clear, and it was correct. Nobody does those kind of background tests. It's like, hey, as long as they can get the money, they'll just sell the gun. So when it comes to the gun, remember that Catherine was searching Amanda's room pretty much every opportunity she could. I remember one time Amanda straight up, yelled at her to get out of the room, and that was it. Because remember, she was flipping over the sheets, looking through drawers, and I think that Amanda had it right under her pillows because I know Catherine tried to play it off. It's like, I always check after Celine. It's like, she doesn't always do her job the right way. But yeah, I think that Amanda actually had the gun under her pillow because as soon as Catherine left, she just took it out and started playing with it. And of course, we know she always played her eeny, meeny, miny, mo game. But here's my thing. If Amanda was killed by that gun and the gun was used by Catherine as well, it leads me to believe that the gun itself, I mean, this is a scary ass thought, but maybe I'm not going to say I'm the first one to say this because people always said this to me. I think my mom even said it too. What if, what if Catherine shot Amanda? I'm trying to really think here because let's theorize and again, maybe after next week's episode, when we get the entire scene, it'll make more sense because I only have like 10 seconds of dialogue to go off here. Because at the end of the episode, during the ending credits, he says the bullets were the same. But then in the next episode preview itself, he says it was the same gun. So I'm thinking that if the gun was in that safe, then it has to be the person that shot Amanda with that gun had to have shot her and then put the gun back where it was, because that's the only thing I can think of. Because we do know Amanda herself had a gun, but she got that gun at a pawn shop. It was not a gun that was at the family house. Remember, she got the gun at the pawn shop, and she actually had the gun when she was at Candace's apartment. So the gun itself was in her possession before moving back in with her family. This was shown when, Quincy was there trying to show her how to shoot a gun. So remember, this gun was something Amanda purchased. So the gun itself, how it's the same gun, doesn't really make sense, at least as far as I go, because the gun itself, let's just theorize that the person that killed Amanda was using that gun and then put it back where it was, because let's say theoretically that I don't think Catherine would have touched that gun before Jennifer Salison came over to the house unless she was the one to kill Amanda. Or if the person that killed Amanda had the gun, killed Amanda, left the room, put the gun back in place, and then left the house. That sounds like a lot to do in a short amount of time, especially if the show is accurate when it seems to have Wyatt waking up the moment after the gunshot went off, meaning that the murderer would have had to killed Amanda, left the house after putting the gun back in place. That seems a bit unlikely. However, the Catherine case does actually make sense because remember, Catherine knew that something was up with Amanda, and I don't know if she knew about the whole eeny, meeny, miny, mo thing, but maybe Catherine was sleeping with a gun underneath a pillow on her bed, because remember that Amanda kept running around the house. So there are just I feel like this gives us more questions than actual answers, but I'm actually glad because it is intriguing, because it is like 2:30 a.m. when I'm recording this, so my voice isn't as strong as it usually is, but I really am intrigued, if you can't tell by the tone of my voice here. So let's just say theoretically it was Catherine. If she didn't put the gun back at that moment, I think that will actually slide, because Wyatt wouldn't think to look for it, because he knew where all the family booze was. I mean, he even yelled at Catherine about there's alcohol over this damn house, but nothing about a gun. Now, when it comes down, did any, gosh, I could be messing up the details, but I don't know if it was ever mentioned if there was a gun at the house before. I think this was the first time we've ever seen a gun in the Cryer house, when Catherine took one out to use against Jennifer, aside from Amanda's gun. So let's just say theoretically, if it was a suicide, then where was the gun? Because the gun should not be in the Cryer's possession, if I'm not mistaken. Like, if Amanda's murder weapon was something she used on herself, I don't believe that gun would be in the Cryer's possessions. I believe the police would have it. That's just me thinking out loud here. So if the murderer used the family, let's just call it the Cryer gun, then the gun was put back in place, and then Catherine got it out of his compartment, unless there was more than one gun. But then there are so many red herrings here, it's just not even funny. But again, it could have been Celine. I don't know. If it okay, so I feel like if the gun itself was the exact same gun, then it wasn't. So it wasn't Carlos, because I believe it has to be somebody that knows the house well enough to know there's a gun in the house, and somebody who would know the combination. I think Celine is a prime suspect in this, but that doesn't answer the question of where the hell did Amanda's gun go? Because she was running around the house with a gun to Wyatt's head, with a gun to her head, and a gun to Catherine's head. So unless the person who killed Amanda took her gun and did something with it, I really don't know what else to say here. I feel like it was the same. I'll buy the fact that it was the same bullets, but the same gun. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But overall, just let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think that the gun itself was the exact same one, the one that was used to kill Amanda as well as Jennifer? And who do you think pulled the trigger? Do you think it was Catherine? I mean, I don't want to believe she would kill her own daughter, but I do know that she will protect herself, and she knew something was up. But we do know let's just put it this way. Catherine has taken care of things herself in the past by getting her hands dirty when nobody else would do it. And even though her way is messy, she gets the job done. So I'll just say this much. If it came down between her and her child that's deranged, I think she would actually do what needs to be done. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did Catherine kill her own daughter? I mean, that's probably what I'm going to title the video. So let's get the conversation rolling again. This is just flat out theory discussion. After next week's episode, best believe if that scene gives us more information, I'll be doing like a part 2. So this is, again, hit that subscribe button. I urge you, hit that subscribe button, because I do not want you to miss out on the next video.